Meghan Markle just released her Netflix holiday special, and to nobody's surprise, the public reaction was,
"No! God, please, no! 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 No!"
what was that? I'm not gonna lie, that was my reaction as well. But today, we are not gonna focus on bashing on Meghan, because I think she does get enough of that. But I more so wanna look at why this particular media endeavor was not a success and what all business owners and creators can learn from this continued failure. Because honestly, it could happen to anyone. We're also going to examine celebrity culture and the new complete rejection celebrities are facing right now, including the rich. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Ashley BTV. I'm a former TV news reporter who takes you behind the headlines, and I help creators break through the noise, own their story, and step into their power. So first off, we are just going to analyze this as a business versus a person. I'm going to call this the Duchess brand and why it continues to fail to catch up to the world we're living in. So Meghan started off her lifestyle brand before meeting Harry. I remember it was an online blog called The Tig back, I believe, in 2015 when polished IGs and blogs were all the rage. However, times have changed and audiences simply do not connect with perfection anymore. This is why you see way less curated photos and perfected, polished videos on Instagram and even YouTube. And honestly, I think it's just culture, and it's just the timing of culture. When something is the norm for so long, especially an aesthetic that literally no one can keep up with, it's going to peak and it's going to drop fast. And in 2025 and beyond, audiences are connecting more with presence and honesty and humanity. And I actually think that TikTok had a lot to do with it. Instead of seeing moms with those perfectly polished bloggers, they are now seeing the Midwest, the Southern, the East Coast, down to earth moms, next door, makeupless, authentic, calling out reality, calling out what postpartum really looks like, and all of that jazz. And it's making people feel seen. The whole culture these days is screaming, be real, be authentic, be grounded. And unfortunately, Meghan's brand is an example of a brand that hasn't caught up to that. When everyone feels so polished, we literally reject it. So funny story on this is that while my husband and I were watching this special, I actually forced him to watch it. I mean, like many husbands, he's not trying to watch like a Martha Stewart type of experience, right? He kept shouting at the screen, "This is so fake," when all the dialogue felt so forced and contrived, like this moment.
You can do things that make people feel a little bit more seen. See?
However, we also were debating of maybe this is this actual person. But regardless, this remains to be the number one reason that people keep rejecting this Duchess brand. They don't buy into this polished person and they don't want to see it. In this case, I think in order to combat that inauthentic feeling and the pressure of having to do so on a global stage, I think number one thing is she needs to bring in guests who are actually her family members or friends. So example was when Harry came up, they both lit up the room and they were actually compelling and engaging to watch. When you're forcing friendships or you're forcing scenes, it's just not going to work on camera. And also, just like any creator out there, I think Meghan needs practice being herself on TV. You might say anyone can be themselves on TV. Not true. As a former actress myself, I understand that we know what it's like to be around the camera. However, vlogging and being your authentic self without a script and just having to be you on camera honestly is so much harder. And I think it more so is because you know that if you're going to be attacked and critiqued, it's not going to be because of a performance. It's going to be for who you actually are. And if you don't feel comfortable in your own skin and getting critiqued in your own skin, it's going to just automatically come off as inauthentic. I tell my students all the time because they say, how do you seem so natural in front of the camera? And the truth is, I never necessarily feel natural in front of the camera, but I do think that if you focus more on the story and what you're delivering versus yourself, then you take yourself out of it and you realize that we're all just here to be messengers of messages, right? And of stories. And then you focus on that and you focus on just hanging out with your friends like we're doing right now, like you and me. This is a brand that feels very awkward, very forced. However, Unfortunately, you can't practice on a Netflix stage. So this is what comes. A lot of creators complain actually when they do go viral, they feel very stunted because they didn't work their way up to that stage. She didn't work her way up to that stage. It's like she didn't practice doing vlogs. She didn't practice on Instagram or TikTok. Instead, you're just handed a Netflix show and you're told go be yourself. I think that would be hard for honestly any of us. So that's something to really keep in mind to start building your voice out now while your platform, while your community is strong, so you gain confidence and also you take your community on the ride with you. So many critics say we still don't know who she's trying to be. The format never evolves. It's the same formula dressed up in a new aesthetic. She stays at arm's length emotionally with everyone. This happens when you batch shoot content, and clearly she filmed part one, part two, and then the holiday special back to back. So unfortunately, that means that she never saw how the audience reacted. And that's so important when you're building a business. You need to see, does my audience actually relate to this content? Do they actually find value in it? So this is the danger in just batching everything at once. While it can be great, especially when you're on a budget, right? Clearly they're on a budget, but it also can be terrible for building your presence, your company, your brand when you don't know if your audience is going to connect with that. What's interesting is that when you repeat a formula that hasn't been proven yet, you're scaling content your audience may have never even wanted. Evolution is what keeps content alive. This means doing a little bit more digging, a little bit more market testing, a little bit more trial and error and A/B testing. And again, a lot of this comes when you have a smaller platform. Another problem is the royal positioning. Is she a royal or is she a lifestyle influencer? And why are we watching her? So she still hasn't resolved this contradiction in her brand. She's half royal, kind of, and half lifestyle influencer. So her Christmas special tried to straddle both, and they ended up connecting with neither. Audiences watched and thought, who are we watching? Is she a Duchess? Because technically she has the Duchess title. Is she an influencer, and is she an influencer for a highbrow brand? Is she an influencer trying to be relatable? Because unfortunately, not knowing, the confusion is the enemy of connection. And the problem with continuing to leverage this royal title is that she's not a royal, and she rejected the royal family and culture. So when she continues to reference her time in the UK, why it's not well received, I think genuinely isn't because people don't like her, it's because it just is a contradiction. And when something doesn't match what you're seeing, it doesn't sit right in like your heart and your spirit. My 2 cents on this is that she is an LA girl. So her brand, if she wants to be this lifestyle influencer, should actually match what she feels most comfortable in and what she resonates with the most. And that is her time in LA. So, she made gumbo on the show. Show more of those recipes that you feel very comforted by and stop building a brand based on experiences that you say you hated. It's like an influencer coming back from, I don't know, I'm thinking Southeast Asia. My friend's going to Southeast Asia soon. And if you hate your experience in Thailand, then you're not going to build your entire brand off of like Thailand food and culture. This is exactly the same. Really isn't about Meghan. It's about the contradiction with what the public has been presented with. Also, the reason why everyone was so drawn to her was because of a relationship, right? It's like a YouTube couple, building a YouTube channel together. But when one member of that couple disappears, you're like, wait, I bought into this couple. It's Matt and Abby are like two big relationship people on the internet. Well, if Matt disappears or Abby disappears, you're like, wait, I bought into the brand of this couple. So therefore, you either have to take us on that journey of you breaking off on your own, or you have to figure out how to position this so your audience goes alongside you and doesn't feel like, wait, what happened to that other person that was a part of this relationship? So some options right now are to either make amends with the royal family if you want to continue to leverage the royal ties into this brand, or else there's going to constantly feel like a disconnect. Obviously, that's never going to happen. So I think, again, it's positioning it away from the royal ties and into something new that actually connects with her. Another big thing is understanding your audience. Who is this show for? And I get that question a lot. Is it for moms? Is it for holiday people? Is it for people on a budget? Is it the highbrow? And I think Netflix and the audience doesn't know who this show is serving. So Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop is clearly for expensive shoppers, right? Not the Target, Starbucks loving girlies. I think if the team gets more focused on who this is for, they're going to stop trying to appeal to everyone. And they're also going to have a much easier time serving the proper audience. And this is something that all of us should take note of. Stop trying to serve the world and start serving the people in which your gifts really align. This is also where you're going to make the most money. If you're trying to serve the budget girlies, but also the highbrow girlies, you're not going to know, where to price things at, right? Like, is the jam $9, but the candle's $75? It's very confusing when you also don't know who you're selling to. And by narrowing in on your audience, your niche, or I like to say ecosystem, because ecosystem gives you the opportunity to have multiple branches of your niche, then it helps you to define clearly what your product is, who it serves, what the price points should be, and what the other products should be among your ecosystem. Another big thing, and this involves, my love for storytelling. I've worked in Hollywood for over a decade. I've worked in the news industry and the media industry for over 15 years. So there was no clear arc or transformation. And without a story like, I don't know, let's prep for the holiday bash, or having that final moment of conclusion, the viewer leaves feeling dissatisfied. A way to combat this is, I think that they should have been working towards something like a bash or a party or an event, since it was only an hour-long special with a big emotional payout at the end. This would involve maybe having her mom try her gumbo or seeing her kids open her gifts. There was no payoff. And when you have a promise for your audience, but then you don't give a payoff, it feels very empty. And this brings us to our fifth point, which is that there was symbolism without substance. Everything meant something, right? Like the decor, the lighting, the set, the guests, but nothing connected to personal vulnerability. Symbolism is really powerful, but only when it's paired with honesty. Otherwise, it's just all aesthetics. And you can't deny that aesthetically, the show was very beautiful. But with that being said, if you're supposed to be teaching recipes, then you actually have to share the recipes. You have to take the time to go over the ingredients. Don't just gloss over them, or where you find the products, or how exactly are you putting things together, and really take your viewers on this journey. This is the difference between what Martha Stewart used to do of, are we actually doing it, or are we just kind of showing that it can be done? And I think nowadays people want to go on the journey with you. The brand voice was also drifting all the time. And you heard this a lot from critics. Is she an influencer? Is she the one teaching? Is she the one learning? Like, where does her authority lie? And when your voice isn't grounded, you're losing trust because the audience can't really follow you emotionally. They don't know how to receive you. Is she here teaching us, or is she also learning? I do love the idea of someone taking us on the journey of learning new tasks. But when you're talking about something that you're supposed to be an expert in, then you really have to step into that expert voice. And she didn't do this. Like, for instance, when she was making her gumbo, she really glossed over like what she was doing, what the ingredients are, and we really missed it. And I think that was a self-conscious thing, again, of feeling like, I'm not a vlogger. Unfortunately, if you're doing a lifestyle show, you kind of are a vlogger. Lesson for everyone is, you really can't just rely on a beautiful aesthetic to sell a storyline. People really want that human connection. And that needs to be the focus for all creators out there. The setting looked like an expensive magazine, but the relationship dynamics really, really fell flat. This included pretty much all of her guests. And this is when you take a little bit more time in figuring out who should be on camera, whether it's a vlog or whether it's someone on a TV show. Does this person have a really engaging personality? Are they going to pop and light up? Is it going to show us a dynamic or something about myself? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be about the person. It could be about how that person is highlighting back on you and what we're seeing about you and your unique traits that we haven't seen yet on camera. Number 8, there was no clear purpose, which was very confusing for audiences. Was it to teach your recipes and to get ready for the holidays? Was it to promote the products and direct you to the website? Like, it really reminds creators, you need to know exactly why you are making this content. Is it to bond with your audience and for your audience to get to know you more? Without that clear purpose, the audience doesn't know what to do or where to go from here. I keep bringing up, like, if you're teaching us a recipe, really take us through that recipe, but also, where should we find that recipe? Should we download that recipe? Are you promoting your products? Like, she had honey in a lot of the scenes. Well, if if you sell honey, then you should point us back to, oh, by the way, you guys can grab this honey. I have the wildflower one. Just go to asever.com. And a big thing all business owners have to keep in mind is number 9. That's the cultural blind spot. This is the part that Meghan's team misses again and again. And that is, we are living in an interesting moment defined by, financial stress, distrust of elites. Like, people are really trying to eat the rich right now, frustration with polished perfection. We are craving truth and relatability. And Meghan continues to live in 2015, responding with the polish, the symbolism, the distant control. It's the exact opposite of where our culture is going right now, which leads us to number 10, and that is the brand promise breach. Her original brand promise was, I speak up, I tell the truth, I share openly. But in this holiday special, she really didn't say anything real. We didn't really learn anything we didn't already know. There was no personal connection. There was no kind of letting our guard down. And it really kind of just fell flat. And I think there were a lot of opportunities here to show vulnerability, to connect with your audience, to connect with your loved ones. And unfortunately, that wasn't taken. But it's something, again, that we can all learn from, because if we zoom out, this is where the deeper meaning lives. And that is, Meghan's special didn't flop because she's unlikable. It flopped because celebrity branding is actually really outdated and audiences have evolved without it. So here's what's changed. The economic reality makes perfection feel tone deaf. People are facing inflation, layoffs, can I get an amen? Debt, housing insecurity, burnout. And this is what we saw with Tracy Ellis Ross's show. When celebrities flaunt like comfort and abundance and curated luxury, it no longer feels aspirational. It kind of feels a little sickening. It feels disconnecting. The vibe is, read the room, people. Relatability is the new status symbol. This is why we're seeing all these moms like pop off on Instagram and TikTok. It's because it feels relatable. Creators are thriving now because they show messy homes and anxiety and budget breakdowns and real conversations and real vulnerability. Perfection used to be a flex, right? And now it's just a red flag. Celebrities are losing to creators. And I'm going to talk about more about this in an upcoming video about Netflix and YouTube and Warner Brothers, because celebrities talk at them and creators share your lives. Celebrities share controlled media products, but audiences want connection, not presentation. Also, outrage is the new algorithm. Anything that feels elite or curated or inaccessible gets pushed into outrage cycles. Luxury is triggering resentment, honestly, more than ever before. The dream isn't beautiful anymore. Celebrities are still selling this 2007 Instagram fantasy, but millennials and Gen Z, we don't want a fantasy. We want a truth. We want to know, well, what is it really like? This is why the articles that say, okay, Meghan wore this, but here's where you get it from Amazon. That's why those moments do really well. And honestly, if she is looking to, represent the affordable budget girlies, those are things that she could be doing or should be doing. I don't think, though, her brand lends to budget girlies. I think she just needs to go with her highbrow brand and attract then the richer audience. And in that case, I would stop selling jam and I would focus more on, honestly, high clothing, high-end lifestyle products. So I don't think Meghan's Christmas special failed because of Meghan, although it really was very hard for me to stomach. But I also think it was just people rejecting this like perfection, this polish. We don't want a curated holiday. Like, we want to see what it really is like. And I think that's why it was really fun seeing her and Harry together and bonding, because that felt like for a moment she let her guard down. She was more honest. And if I could give any advice, not that anyone's asking, I think in order to build something meaningful, you have to stop trying to please everyone and you have to start getting really true on who am I? Who do I serve? What is my audience? You have to get feedback. You have to adjust. You have to make a product that people actually want. And creators have to do that too. And that honestly could save her brand. Like I said, I think she needs to appeal to highbrow. She needs to sell clothing or sell expensive, like Williams Sonoma type of things in your home, not like $9 jam. But I think the biggest thing that we could take away is that Meghan built and launched an entire brand format content arc before she ever tested the market of whether her audience would want it or not. And she filmed all of the seasons back to back. She designed a product line line. She built a lifestyle brand. She created those founder conversations and she packaged it all before the audience responded to a single episode. The creator needs to test the demand. Am I relating to my audience? This is why pilots do testing and they don't launch entire shows. I mean, now they do because Netflix just throws anything at anything. And instead of batching a whole series, especially if you're just starting out, start off with one piece of content at a time, or maybe batch like a few videos at a time, and then really assess what's working, what's not working. What do you feel best in? Because sometimes people might not love what you're doing, but you just have to keep going. You have to keep getting better, and eventually you'll find that right audience as long as it feels true to you. If you found this video helpful or interesting, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And I want to hear from you. What did you think about this holiday special? Like, did it also feel off to you? Did any of my comments or commentary resonate? What parts felt off? What parts did you like? I actually think I could try a few of the recipes. I will have to go look up the recipes because she didn't provide them. But again, I think there's a lot to take away from these brands. I think it's really not helpful to just like bash certain things. It's more so important for us to look at something and say, hey, why did this succeed? And why did this fail? And what can I learn from it? And also, if you are someone who is a creator out there looking to build their own YouTube channel this year, I have my next YouTube Buzz Builder Bootcamp. Go ahead, click the link in my description and my pinned comments. For the holidays, I'm doing a holiday special, which is $100 off your January bootcamp. Use the code HOLIDAY100, and I can't wait to work with you. I will see you in the next one, guys. We have a lot to talk about involving Netflix and Warner Brothers and what this means. So stay tuned. Until next time, I'll see you later.